Hi, this is Carolyn, and I am planning to review one of my Articulate Rise projects with you, just to show you some of the role-based trainings that I have put together. This has 27 lessons, and it shows how my company acquires their software companies from A to Z, and how the workflows work. I illustrated the target company that we buy and the processes from the letter of intent sign-off to the data ask sign-off to the deal close, which begins their 90-day integration process, which is they go through a workstream process, and that then gets socialized and factorized into a central system. So just go through all the phases, have a little bit of audio that I record, do have some music running in the background as well, and some screen recordings, post-integration phase, and then the next four processes that it goes through. Actually, they're always kind of revising this process. First, we had our diligence data ask, which the timeline is usually a couple of weeks, and who manages each phase and how it works in the end in the post-integration phase. Then, of course, I do your knowledge check, do a little bit of a quiz. We'll kind of skip through that. Very important. I think people learn a lot when they know they have a quiz and a test, and my technical tests are much more difficult than some basic role-based type training. Diligence data ask phase, and that's when our company requests from the company we're buying for all their information, and it's related to finance, accounting, engineering, human resources, customer support, customer contracts, supplier contracts, and so on and so forth. Pretty arduous process that happens in a very short time frame. So this training is designed to get the integration vice presidents that we hire up to speed as quickly as possible. Here's our pre-integration phase. That used to be 5 weeks. I believe they've shrunk it down to a total of 4 weeks. So they're kind of illustrated there. I get a little bit more elaborate when I discuss disclosure schedules. I actually do video.
I'd like to discuss with you.
Kind of how they work. And that's and then we kind of talk about the formalities with communication between our target company that we're buying, who initiates conversations. There's a lot of red flags involved in that. So that needs to be conveyed to all team members. Get a separate training way to put together, just so they're saying the right thing, the do's and don'ts of communication. Important in this type of business where you're buying companies. And so how the integration phase starts when the deal is approved. Even though we might have looked at all the data of the company, their code sources, any outstanding legal issues, we still can pull the plug on it and not buy the company. These are the various work streams that are set up. SE7 represents ship every 7. So I talk a lot about that. It's a pretty elaborate training, but it really helps in getting people up to speed if they're new to the organization. And this is one of those companies where everybody's most often very new to the organization because they are constantly changing. And our integration in model state for successful closures, and that basically means when they put the company, they reshape the company, consolidate the company, they do a post-integration and cutover phase. final goal of Ship Every 7 is to have a potentially shippable release weekly that includes everything that was completed that week. Core release processes, and so on. Planning, building, testing, demoing, releasing. And there we have it. And this training, gosh, I think it takes our people about 3 to 4 hours to complete this training. But they can do it in increments. That's what I like about developing e-learning, because it's all done, bit by bit. They can log in, log out. Our system tracks the progress that they've made. And they do take a final test. This goes through a very important thing is our pair support. And this is where the company that we bought gets together with our team members and they do a knowledge transfer. I've sat in on many of these. As you know, I've done technical training, and it's it can be a very daunting, complicated process. Simply because there's so much information that needs to be used. Streams from ESW Overview. We have navigators and drivers. And then, of course, I was hired at this company to put together their learning management system, which I chose Chivo. It's made in Italy, actually, and they have an office in Canada and Atlanta. I thought this was a decent system for its integration capability. It lacks a little bit in the customer support department for sure, especially with automation. So I talk a little bit about organized central training. Software companies. And then I put together something called Central University for ESW Capital. It's called Central Support, Central Training. That's our little icon there. And I developed a process that every team lead can have the power user status. That means they can manage their team. That means they can manage each individual team in our learning management system. And we have elaborate tools to track our integration processes, as you can see here. We basically combine Jira, BetterWorks, and Smartsheets together. So each team member will have a ticket that they need to solve. It's a series of tasks. It's kind of interesting the way we've designed it. We talk about it here in the training. How things happen and move in our project management office, which is where I work now. I developed 8 training team members, technical writers, and they have been absorbed into our central factory model. So I'm kind of proud of that because I developed the team and they moved on very fast. Fortunately, that's the way things work at my current organization. Things happen. So we sync the epics in Jira with BetterWorks, and then we have like a goal setting platform called, we have Smartsheets, Jira, and BetterWorks. Don't know if your organization uses those, but. And then we have project monitoring and control trackers. Here we go. Risk grids, and so forth. So I'll go ahead and move on. And of course, we talk about our Confluence pages, how they're supposed to be structured. We have some great engineers that put together some fantastic Confluence pages to find the technical data that we're looking for. And our Smartsheets tool, how our finance breaks down our costs for each work stream. It's kind of interesting to me, at least. Everything is so precise, though always.
As we learn how BetterWorks and Smartsheets and Jira.
move on. So it shows the criteria and just how all the import, what they call buckets, work. And then our value versus progress. So it's kind of meant to be run by a very, kind of like a large assembly line type thing. What our finance team is responsible for, PMO, and so on. And then we go to our schedule variances. This shows when tasks are due, not due. 7 days from being due, and so forth.
For a task. Schedule variances are used.
And then I finish with another knowledge check. And actually, when I edit this and